How's it going, guys? Thanks again for being here. Today I'm reviewing some vest supports designed for gimbal. I've been a Steadicam operator since the year 2005, so I believe this video is going to be very helpful to you, whether you are a Steadicam professional or a newbie who never used this product before. So stay tuned, don't go anywhere, I'll be right back. And the usual disclaimer, DigitalFoto sent me this vest for me to test it out. I don't get paid to say anything here. This video is not sponsored by them. All my words and opinions that are my own. If you already have a gimbal, especially the Crane 3 Lab or similar, the Crane 3S and other brands, most likely you're going to be putting a heavier camera here. So when I actually operate the gimbal on my wrist, the stress that this thing puts on my wrist and my back is very uncomfortable. Pretty much in 5 minutes, I'm actually having to put this thing down. And this is actually the solution to this, but I got to tell you something right away. I've been doing a Steadicam for a long time. The moment that I actually tried the first time setting up this rig with the gimbal, I actually even wanted to send it back because I got so frustrated with this item, but I gave it another chance and I'll let you guys know that I actually like it now, and the footage that I actually got from this is actually very nice. It reduces the up and down, but you must do the ninja walk sort of deal, even with the Steadicam, but this one requires more care because, again, the gimbal is already a stabilizer. This is primarily designed to be a support to avoid stress and fatigue on your wrist, on your body, and everything else. So this should also reduce the up and down motion to about 20 to 30% depending on your experience. And if you're worried about the up and down motion or any jerk or any vibration on either a Steadicam or something like this, the terrain that you're actually going to be operating this gear, it also depends if you are actually walking on grass or concrete. It all makes a difference, and also depends on your skill, how you actually walk with this equipment here, because a ninja walk is actually required still. Even if you have the vest on, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to actually quit the up and down motion. Therefore, this is actually designed to reduce 20 to 30%, not 100% like a Steadicam is, again, because the stabilization is in here. This is just a support. I'm sure you guys are pretty much like I am. Every time I receive a package, I'm super excited. I want to tear the whole box apart. Be careful with the knife because you're going to be actually cutting this bag. So take it easy with the knife, which, by the way, inside the package, you're going to find this case, which has plenty of space to store everything. The support vest, it also comes with the arm, which also comes with a heavily padded foam, which is great. This thing is not going to be tumbling around the case. It fits the vest, everything fits here. But this manual, if you can call it a manual, there's pretty much no instructions here, just a few pictures. When I'm shopping for these things, I also go on YouTube and watch some reviews, but I do expect the person that's doing the review to actually show me everything instead of like searching for multiple videos regarding the same product. So in this video, I'm going to be trying my very best to show you everything from actual footage taken with this equipment, also how to use, what not to do, and most importantly, the things that I like and also the things that I don't like about this product. So in this video, I'm going to show you guys pretty much everything there is to know about this product. And like I was saying before, support systems designed for gimbals, they behave different than what a Steadicam, an actual Steadicam can do. And also this only costs $645, which makes the price very affordable because there are systems like this also designed for gimbals that can range from $1,500 to $2,000 and up. So you're getting this for $645. And by the way, there's a $35 coupon right now on Amazon that you can actually use to actually buy this for less than $645. This particular belt that you see here, I have no idea what this is for, and I've never seen this on an actual Steadicam vest because I already have the thing that couples in the middle right there. So I'm not going to be using this thing here. I usually use the Canon R3 mounted on this gimbal, and it happens to be filming this video right now. So I already took the footage that I needed with the R3 mounted on this gimbal. So this camera I'm just going to be using for the purpose of setting up this gear to show you guys how the whole thing looks like set up. And as you guys probably know, when you actually mount a camera on a gimbal, it should be as minimalistic or as simplistic as possible. Just the camera body and the lens, nothing else. And especially if your camera uses straps, remove it because it's going to be caught on the gimbal and also reduces the stability of the gimbal. So I'm going to start with this vest. This vest is just like every other vest that I've ever seen as far as functionality goes. So to put the vest on, it takes seconds to do. I'll choose to unbuckle this side right here, which are 3 things to do right there. And you want to insert your arm right here. I'm doing this in real time, no rush. This is the way you actually do this on set because you can't rush that much. In about, I don't know, 20 seconds, the vest is already on. It looks like this. The next one, I put the arm, which is just a simple thing as simply sliding the thing. It features a locked and unlocked position. Facing up is unlocked, facing down is locked. I usually like to hold it with my finger because sometimes it gets stuck over here. So lift this up, you simply slide this right there. And as you can see, it's very easy to adjust up and down as long as you don't have any stress right here, because this is a sliding mechanism. As long as you don't put the gimbal here or force this downwards, it's going to be impossible for you to adjust even if it is on the unlocked mode. So pull this up a little bit and then you can easily do the up and down thing, as you can see here. Lock it down to the position that I like. I usually like the position 18 for my particular needs. Lock it down, and then you put the gimbal here. This whole setup actually feels very light. What makes the thing heavy is the actual gimbal itself with the camera on top here. This whole thing is very light, and this arm swings all the way back here, all the way over there, as you can see. The proper way to mount the gimbal, don't mount it this way because you won't be able to tilt the gimbal in case you want to do a follow mode, for example. This particular device allows you to do that because there's some resistance right here. When you actually unlock this knob, you can actually tilt the gimbal up and down like that. You can lock if you want. As long as you keep this thing straight, this knob adjusts the gimbal to be straight. So right now what straight is right here. Lock it down. And over here is the adjustments on the spring tension. You have one here for the upper arm and the bottom one for the bottom arm. Technically on the instructions, the best way to provide the smoothest footage is to have this thing about 5 degrees lower. And I don't see the actual advantage to that because the springs here, to my opinion, they don't work very well to my taste because it's either all the way up or suddenly all the way down, as you can see here. See, it either does this or it does that. So they need to improve the spring here because you should be able to set a particular tension. I don't care what gimbal or weight of the device that you're actually loading here. This thing should be able to remain this position here. So when you actually walk, the vibration is going to be totally eliminated. If you have it totally like this or like that, it's not really a good thing. Right now my gimbal is resting on a table on its legs, and this is supposed to go where the legs are. This particular piece is included with this package, and also they have an adapter you can actually attach right here in case your gimbal is thinner and you go all the way up here and your gimbal is still loose. So they have the adapter right there. I'm not going to use this piece because if you want to use this piece, if you have the crane S, for example, I would strongly advise you to go get the quick release, because what happens is, what if you're tired, if you want to actually remove the gimbal, where are you going to be setting your gimbal? In the middle of the street or the pavement? I don't want to scratch or damage my gimbal. If you put the gimbal on the table, the gimbal is going to go crazy, right? A Steadicam, they actually have a stand like this here. They actually have the hook to actually put the whole gimbal right there, the whole sled, right? It's not the case with the stands designed for gimbal. So what I'm gonna do, I'm actually gonna be mounting the gimbal with the legs and all. So when I wanna remove this here, I can just simply put it on the table, on the ground, without scratching my gimbal, with the legs and all. This is not gonna be useful to me. So I'm gonna put it on the side. Before you set this up, make sure your gimbal is balanced and powered on. There you go. So mounting the gimbal right there, make sure your arm is actually holding the arm, so you don't want this to slap the camera. So right here, tilt your body this way, close the legs. This is the actual setup that I prefer doing it. And make sure you mount the gimbal this way, not this way, with the screw facing you. Then mount it right there. Screw it in again. And there you go. Now the gimbal is on, fully functional. And you can also get to tilt the gimbal if you position it to the follow mode. All right now I have the gimbal set up. As you can see, you can actually move in all directions here. One thing that I don't like about this particular spring arm is because no matter what tension you set this to, Steadicam is supposed to actually have both things like in the middle right there, so allows the full spring to work. This particular one here is either up or all the way down. There's no mid-range, as you can see. It doesn't want to stay in the middle. Because if the springs they were stronger or better made, you actually have the opportunity to actually Steadicam around with this whole thing having the action this way here. So you don't even need that super ninja walk, because it is required that ninja walk, especially for this particular setup here, this particular product. So I'm going to be a little bit out of focus, but you can see what I'm talking about here. In this particular system, you have to forward 20 degrees with your back like this, and also do the ninja walk like this. Not like this, you know, because your foot is going to be up and down and vibrating like crazy. Now for linear shots this way, put the gimbal on lock mode, which prevents the gimbal from wanting to turn left and right or up and down. So it allows you to actually shoot a much smoother and more precise straight footage with the gimbal on lock mode. You do your thing. You can actually put the gimbal on follow mode, and then you can actually shoot the ceiling like this, watch the camera. And then the camera goes all the way down there. So this system allows you to actually tilt the gimbal. It's not only left and right, up and down like this. You can actually tilt the thing. You can actually turn the whole thing upside down, as you can see here. I have to remove the lens cap in order for the gimbal to actually go all the way down there, but you get the point. You can actually shoot it this way. Now when I put the gimbal on lock mode with this particular system, it's nice because it doesn't matter where you turn, the camera is always facing one direction. So you have that thing like a ruler, like, you know, a perfectly straight shot. If you put the thing on PF mode, the gimbal might want to turn it slightly left and right. You don't want to do that. When you actually do a long shot, you want the things to be as straight as possible. Now, since this arm was actually made this way and it has some limitations with the up and down motion here, it's either all the way down or all the way up, what I recommend you to do is to actually make sure this is actually on the flat position as much as possible before you start walking. And then you can actually pull down the gimbal as long as you have the arm this way. Don't let it go this way, don't let it go that way, because for the smoothest footage, this thing somehow must be in the middle, like on a flat mode. And then you can actually walk, look at that, this way. This must allow to have space to do all this movement here. If you have this way or this way, no good. And again, to do this, make sure you pull down the gimbal. Don't let it rest up like this. Pull it down, and then you have the smoothest footage. To remove the gimbal, do not power off the gimbal. Just loosen the screw right there. Body this way. Put your arm right here. And then you can safely put the gimbal down without the arm slamming your camera. There you go. Your camera is actually safe on the ground. If you use this adapter without the release, how are you going to be transferring from the gimbal to the table or to the floor or pavement? I don't want to do that. I want my legs right there. So I'm not going to be using this particular thing here unless I have a quick release, but I still prefer to actually put the actual legs. A lot of gimbals, they actually have a very long body here, which you don't need the legs. But again, if you want to land this on the ground, make sure the legs are still hooked up here. Now let's talk about the difference between an actual Steadicam or glide cam or something like this here. A Steadicam is already a stabilizer, and the gimbal is the one that does stabilization here, not this. So on a Steadicam, you actually have this hand right here on a sled, which you actually guide the camera to turn left and right or whatever, right? For example, either one, if you want to do shots like this, linear or follow shots or whatever, or start, you know, up and down here and do this, no problem. For example, let's say there's a subject right here. You don't want to turn the gimbal this way. You turn your body, and the gimbal should always remain straight. For example, if there's a person right here, you can start this way, and you just turn the gimbal enough so that it stays straight like this. So here's the person, and then you want to do this. You don't turn the gimbal, otherwise it will be impossible for you to actually, for example, put the subject in the middle of the frame. And actually I did the perfect example with this actual kit, showing you guys that it is actually possible to do this. So I was right outside the mall and also inside the mall here somewhere. That only depends on your skills. Once you actually have many hours of training with this, you will be able to actually provide this type of footage that I just showed you guys here. So before, I used to hate the system, and then I give it a try. It's actually doing what I want, because before it was pretty much impossible. So if this is the first time that you actually get a system like this, don't expect to actually unbox it and then get perfect footage, because you're going to be having a hard time with this until you get good at it. So this is the way it applies to Steadicam as well. If you never have a Steadicam before, you're not going to provide smooth shots at the first glance, because that's not happening. It requires hours of training. And this one behaves different than what a Steadicam does. That's another thing to take into consideration. And of course, everybody knows that things look prettier and less bumping in slow motion. So I actually took some slow motion shots with the system here, as you can see. And I also took regular motion, like 30 frames per second, shooting the real thing with the system as well. And as you can see, there's no up and down motion. And even running tests. So in this particular video, I actually did a shot with my wife running. And as you can see, there's no bumping, there's no up and down, almost no up and down motion. And everything was shot with this particular gear right here that you see me reviewing right now. Coming from a Steadicam, the first thing that I was actually frustrated with this item is because somehow when I was walking, this thing wanted to do this way here. The arm was like making the gimbal do this here, and the footage was not stable, it was all bumpy, it was all weird, and then I decided to kind of calm down and put this whole thing back up here. And now I manage something with my body which only you can actually find the sweet spot so that does not happen, because again, it's not a defect with the product, it's because this is different than a Steadicam. So overall, do I recommend this product? Definitely yes. First of all, it's only $600. A Steadicam is going to cost you many times over. And just the fact now that I can actually operate this gimbal for like an hour straight if I want to, because the whole weight is well distributed here. My back is not on fire, it's not burning. My wrist is like, weight free. Very nice, because without the system here, I can only shoot for like 3-4 minutes and put the gimbal down. And again, don't forget, this is actually a budget system. It does the job, but it's not perfect. If you're interested in this product, I have the links in the description. They are affiliated links from Amazon, B&H. So if you want to use my links, I would appreciate it. They don't cost you anything extra. It's the same exact thing that you would see if you actually search on Amazon by yourself. What happens here, I receive a tiny little commission from Amazon or B&H, and it helps the channel to produce more contents like this here. So once again, thanks for being here, and I'll see you next time.